Muchas gracias por ver este video. No te olvides de darle like y compartirlo. Y no te olvides que puedes dejar un comentario, un insulto, una sugerencia o una pregunta aquí en la sección de comentarios. Nos vemos en un próximo video. ¡Qué bestia!
Steve wants to make money on crypto mining, but because of the high price of power, the loud noise from miners, and the high cost to scale his business, it may not make sense. Steve started doing research. Then Steve found out about Ice Rock Mining, a commercial Bitcoin mining farm. Ice Rock's income is higher than most mining farms. We mine in a former Soviet military bunker that facilitates 5,000 ASIC miners, and our power costs are only 0.03 cents per kilowatt hour. Because of our lower costs, investors earn more Bitcoin and we scale our business faster. Today, if Steve bought $1,000 ROC 2 coins, he would receive $226 per month. On top of it all, Ice Rock will reinvest 20% of all ISO proceeds back into the investor pool, increasing Steve's income even more. Steve is now receiving Bitcoin every month and earning passive income. We mine Bitcoin. Call us, write us, or come visit us. Ice Rock Mining, your investor-friendly mining farm.
Nowe World of Tanks, nowa moc.
Mistrzowie. Ci, którzy oj, aj i o jarzesz opanowali do perfekcji. Waleczni, niestrudzeni. Ci, którzy po każdym błędzie wstają. Mówmy o nich, oglądajmy ich, bo nigdy nie wiemy, kiedy miliony błędów zamienią w jedno epickie zwycięstwo. Tiger powers back.
Upgrade complete.
Blisko 3000 najlepszych restauracji w jednym miejscu. Zamawiaj jedzenie do domu przez aplikację lub stronę pizzaportal.pl. Pizza Portal. Klikasz i jesz. Tylko w poniedziałki zamów pizzę 20% taniej na pizzaportal.pl.
I wanna make things happen. Would you like to see? 'Cause every tiny thing make a difference to me. I wanna build a home, not just the walls and the doors.
kim jesteś. Ani o czym marzysz. Nieważne, gdzie o to walczysz. Lub z kim się mierzysz. Nie liczą się przeszkody, które musisz pokonać. Nawet jeśli musisz zmagać się sam ze sobą, ważne jest tylko jedno. Zawsze podążaj do celu. Straight ahead. To, czego pragniesz, jest przed tobą.
Mineral field depleted.
Ekipa wraca na salony! Warsaw Shore oglądaj w niedzielę o 23:00. Tylko w MTV.
Czas na prawdziwy przełom. Wizja przyszłości staje się rzeczywistością. Poznaj pierwszą napędzaną energią elektryczną Skodę Vision E. Odkryj nowe oblicze mobilności. Nowa Skoda Vision E to samochód, jakiego jeszcze nie było. Zapraszamy na polską premierę Skody Vision E na targach Poznań Motor Show między 5 a 8 kwietnia. Skoda Vision E. Napędzana pozytywną energią.
Horyzont jest tylko początkiem drogi. Pokonując przeszkody, dopiero nabierasz rozpędu. To, co niezwykłe, dla ciebie jest codziennością. Nie zatrzymuj się tam, gdzie inni. Podążaj dalej. Nowa gama SUV-ów Peugeot. Sięgaj po więcej i odkryj pakiet zaawansowanych technologii za 1 złoty.
My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Raz, dwa, trzy, raz, dwa, trzy. Hi guys. Can you hear me? Okay. So, mm, as you can see, as I can see, you playing against Terran. So, um, basically, I'm not a professional player, so keep that in mind. That I will make my own way of like playing for current meta. What I'm doing, it's quite picking up one of the build order that you can find on the website I linked recently. And what you have to keep in mind is that be aware of like fast light, like there's a couple of ways that Terran could go on higher levels. On lower levels, I don't really play on silver, on gold or platinum. So most of the time, you most of the time like uh, you will be struggling. Okay. Oh, oh, that's me. That's my fault, maybe. I will turn off streaming then. So I check my ping. Ping looks okay. Hmm, I don't see any frame drops, so it's like 10 ms, so it's quite good. Okay, so getting back into Terran, so um, first of all, you have to keep your base saturated. So in old SC, I don't know if you ever play old SC Broad War, StarCraft Broad War. It's like you have basic rule is like to keep your workers pumping all the time, almost, because StarCraft 2 have a little bit different approach. It's like you have to keep your base saturated, so 16 props under your main base, under your expo, it's quite priority. Although if you're going for the kind of all-in, if you're keeping like aggressive approach, you sometimes want to stop producing your workers for switching into army, into army approach. Okay, I see you going to the warp gate. I see you going for the quick charge zealot. I see you going for the air. Okay. I am like not quite fan of Stargate, but I see a lot of people doing that. But I am not quite sure if it will helps you. It adds a lot of complexity to to manage the army. So it's your choice, but I would like more often go to straight to the robo in this kind of approach. So robo and observers, it's quite good to have because of the clock banshees and kind of this harassment that Terran sometimes go. Mm, As you playing against A are quite different kind of players, so they have like going like standard bit orders, like ground composition, like light units with siege tanks. It's most of the time. Okay, so what can I tell more? Um, you you should have more gateways by now. At two expands, you should have like I think seven gateways. It's like something that you should consider when your natural base. So the first expand you have saturated, so at least 16 workers. So that's quite what you should have by now. Um, I would consider teching into Archons and Storms because you have to have kind of defend against mm, so-called MNMA, so Medic and Marines defense. So you can go into Storms straight away, or you can go into Colossus. Two are very good against these light units like Marines. A little bit not so good against Marauders, but um, I would go Storm or Colossus because you will die against such light units composition. So keep your build order, keep your spend your resources. So never be supply block, never stop producing units and expand. And this is quite what give you a lot of like if you keep with macro and units all the time, you should probably out macro your opponents. So it's basically if you have better macro, better APM, so better action per minute, you will simply like out macro your opponents. I think you should approach your opponent. So you have to scout it, you have to know what he's doing. So you should know if Terran like going for the mech, because I'm seeing a lot of Hellbats are gonna mate. So you don't know that, but you can scout it probably by now, which you could expect at this point of minutes. So I will definitely Terran will push you with either a drops or either a push with Marines and Medivacs. So it's quite sure for that you will be more pushed by this time. So I don't know how you react under the different pressures. But it's looking quite good. But you have like what can I say more? I don't see any defense against storms. More storms definitely you need. Phoenixes are nice to have, but you have to use it. You have to scout with them. That's very bad approach because mm, you are at the place where you never should fight against Terran because you are at the very narrow space, which is very bad to approach. So It's second very hard thing what you have to learn. It's when to approach and when to run away. It's very hard to learn because you have to be aware what's your good positions to fight against. And if you are defending like this terrain in the upper ground, it's very good position to be at if you are a defender. But if you are attacker, you don't want this. So I would go other way from the white ramp, which is like on the soft, more on the soft, and I would never approach there. I would scout if there's an enemy. If there is not, okay, you can pass by. But if there's, if there's a lot of units, you never want to approach. Also, if terrain has a lot of siege tanks, uh, you never want to approach. You never want to approach the siege tanks. You want to, if you have a big advantage, okay, you can go for it. You can go for a massive exchange, but otherwise you want to rather turn away a little bit, wait for the terrain to be in the move, and then attack. This composition, what you're trying to do, it's rather, I not, wouldn't recommend going like 2% zealots or 2%, high templars or, never mass units because StarCraft 2, um, favorize the composition mixed rather than static like this one. So you have to, in your composition, you have to have, I would recommend for Terran, always have a few Stalkers, a few Immortals, a few Storms, a few Zealots. The melee composition could be larger than a range, so a few Stalkers, a few Storms, and a lot of Zealots. That's good. Uh, Always gather gaze because this is very, let's say, luxury resource. So you have to always mine the gas from your third expand, from your second expand. As you can see, I see that you miss on third. That's not a big deal, but it helps you with the high-tech units like Immortals, like High Templars. Simply, you will have it more. Okay, what you have to do, it's like build your composition and approach in the most efficient way your opponents. So you don't want this attack like on front. You want to position yourself like flanking. This is the term that you have to be aware of. Like flanking, it's going from two directions to the opponent, like squeezing them from the both sides. So that's the most efficient approach if you have advantage in your armies. So by now, you're quite sure that your Terran opponent have a third expand or even a fourth, and you should like attack on those sides. But I see that you're currently approaching again too much stalkers, and they are not efficient against marines. So also when you controlling your units, what I can see, your High Templar, Archon, it's on the back. He should be on the front to take up damage and, fight on the front. So keep your melee on the 1, for example, and your range units on the 2 hotkey. So you can easily, controlling them. Again, you see that you run away outside from the range. You should go from the other directions to control his expanse, countering, destroying his economy. That's the main point also. If you see the Terran, it's like staying on the ramp and he's a lot of siege tanks, what you can do also, it's very positive. It's like to build a robot and make a shuttle. The old name was Shuttle in the Protoss army, but currently this is the I don't know the name. to be honest. Warp prism. Oh yeah, this is probably the warp prism, and you can like go on the backside of the enemy territory and make a drop. So that's very also how to say. That's very good to do when your opponents is like most on the front of lines, and this is very destructive, and you can kill a very high skilled opponent the way if you master the drop shipping, the dropping army on the backs. Again, lacking of zealots, a little bit too much stalkers. You could easily slip this army into pieces, like two control units, and attack from two directions if you have such big army. Yeah, that's very good. What you are currently doing, you are forcing your enemy to moving, and then you know that your enemy would be coming, so you have to be aware of that. Yeah, and you have to like be prepared that your opponent will move from the one ramp to the second direction. Okay, what I can see, it's like you can probably have more upgrades by now. So again, you should do more upgrades and you shouldn't stop expanding. What you currently stopped, it's expanding. You a little bit slipped off your macro again. You are like you should producing more units. Uh, all the time you should be around like 1000. I think it's the maximum point range where you should be with your units. Like you should keeping your limit really, really high. What I can see from observer perspective, it's now you are a little bit behind at army. This approach was good, but not so good. You have to be aware that you shouldn't lose so many high-tech units because they are very valuable. And for now, this too ineffective approach would like crossing your games probably. Like this will result in the lost game. Yeah, but you start quite good, but then you slipped off with two very bad approaches on the ramp, on the narrow ramp. Then you should like doing more units. You should like out macro your opponent simply if this is AI opponent. You stop like making a new expansion, so your as you can see your main workers on the main expansion are doing nothing, simply not gathering more resources, but at first place you should spend it. On the natural, you prepare 4 gateways that you never used because of you never form a warp gate, so you should form a warp gate here. What's more? So you can see now there's a lot of siege tanks, and your army composition was very light performed. What I mean by that, it's very light units. Like there was no immortal, which are very effective against armored units. So you should usually consider them as your like in your composition. So the best would be the mixed. So I prefer Colossus against higher ranked opponents because they usually use light compositions like Marine, Medivacs, and a lot of Marauders, and the Colossus shines there because they get quite a boost at recent patches. What's more, well, it's your build order was quite good. You should practice. Your build orders are really, really important at basic level because they give you insight how to build effectively your units and how to like bring your army in the proper time mark and like astonish your opponent with quite a big army at this time mark. If you keeping your build order effectively, it will give you quite a boost in the mean of time and army. Then I know that you won't have like 200 APM because it's hard. You have to use, you know, a lot of hotkeys like F2, F3, F4 to make bases like I will show you. This is your main base, so you hotkey it's like F2. This is your natural, so you hotkey with F3, and then you can, you know, move around your natural and main base. I don't know if you know that or it's a new thing. Also, making your hotkey, as you can see, my hotkeys are quite different from the original. And this also helps if you like have your hotkeys near your, you know, most used units. Although I think you lost with this match because of bad approaches here mainly. Two bad approaches. If you go right there and attack here, harass a bit and move out, don't commit to the one base. You know, you have to be in the right directions. Then right, go here, check that. With observer, with unit, you have to be aware that terrain will expand as you will. So you have to be prepared of counterattacks, like the terrain will push you here or here often, like real players will do that for sure. So you have keep in mind that drops can go here around that to your main, or you can do drop here, you know, on the backs. Then you move. What's very good with the drops, it's that if your opponent's army are concentrated here, that's very often a case because usually your opponent expecting push on the front, so he will defend as you will here. You will concentrate your army on the ramps near. But if you go behind, force your enemy to move here to the back of his main base, he will be out of position. That's the key thing. If he's out of position, you can easily push there or there, because if his opponent under the diamond leech, which is even in diamond, I think the people won't split your armies easily. So what he will do, he will simply push one and go with all his army down here to defend with, you know, with quite a small drop like 4 zealots, 8 zealots. You can, you know, have a 4 zealots drop there, launch the war prism and, you know, mass more units here if you have a lot of war prism like when you are at natural. So simply you out of position, make him out of position and attack on the front, and that's easy GG most of the time, because either you destroy a lot of this his economy, because if you kill his third base and you have a third base untouched, you are simply in a favored position because your limit will be higher. Simply uh, you winning by your limit. Simply, if you have a better upgrades, better limits, you're simply winning the game if you do, not doing a horrible mistakes. That's it. What I can say more. You can play. You can show me your Zerg build order, and we can see what you're doing there. But maybe later, because currently I have to finish for now.